Everyone, just going to pull this down. I'm going to call meeting to order. It is now 7:32, and I'll be calling meeting number 1428 to order. And I'd also like to welcome tonight's online viewers. Agenda meeting 1428. In front of you, you have the agenda for meeting 1428. Are there any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to the minutes. Minutes from regular meeting number 1427 for November 26, 2021. The minutes for the meeting of number 1427 are presented. Are there any errors or missings? 1427.
Sure.
Hearing none, can I get a mover?
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Fitzgerald, seconded by Councillor Hancock. Call for the question. Hearing none, all those in favor, motion carried. Business arising from the minutes. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Is there any new business to add tonight?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, we've been having a lot of public questions and a lot of interest shown for the new committees, especially the ones that hopefully will have a lot of public involvement, such as the seniors, the youth, and the health and wellness. So just an update again, we'll be working on those and getting those a bit more organized and on stream in the new year, 2022.
Okay, appreciate the update, Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Any more new business? Hearing none, we shall move into correspondence. Correspondence in front of you. Item number 1, Department of Local Governance and Land Use Planning, cybersecurity awareness. Obviously, that's part of where we live right now, so that's for your information. Item number 2, Department of Environment and Climate Change, a composting project, which it's good to see that we're started to move that forward. That's for your information. And item number 3, Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, a non-compliance letter for your information. So that concludes correspondence. So we'll move into reports. Finance, Councillor Jones, please.
Okay, we had a finance meeting on December the 8th. Items there in front of you. Number 1, Brook Construction for $72,477.46. That's claim force, cash shared, 3 ways. Recommend approval. Mike Kelly and Sons Paving and Goose Arm Road for $126,942.61. Recommend approval. Number 3 for Q&H for $75,425.28. Recommend approval. Number 4, Q&H for $7,935. Recommend approval. And for number 5, excuse me, a bank loan. Here you have the different terms and percentages, and so we recommend a TD Bank for 10 years at 2.80%. I move that we accept the finance report for December the 8th.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Freak. Call for a question. Councillor Freak.
For item number 3 and 4, did we get our site inspections back for that? Are we?
Yes, we did. Our superintendent and Mark went down and inspected the site.
Okay.
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 And I believe Councillor Fitzgerald at one point in time as well. No, sorry. I haven't done so.
Okay. So is that good for clarification, Councillor Freak?
Yeah, I know we just had some question
Yep.
around all of that. So I want to make sure that everybody was okay with what was in the tender, what was paid, what was done, what was inspected. I am not an inspector, so I wasn't down on site. So I just want to make sure if you've signed off on it. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've raised some of those questions, and I'll just note that I'm okay with these 2 payments at least.
Okay. Good questions. Any more questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. On to accounts payable. Councillor Jones, please.
Okay, we had accounts payable also on December the 8th. Here in front of you have items number 1 to 31. I want to exclude number 31 in this report. I'll do separately for I'll clear a conflict of interest. So I move that we accept the report, accounts payable for December the 8th, items number 1 to 33, excluding number 31.
Okay, moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by
Oh, sorry.
Deputy Mayor Young. Call for the question. Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. All right.
Move for 31.
Do you want to step out yet, Councillor Jones? Councillor Freak?
Item number 31 for Western Steelworks for $189.21. I make a motion to pay the invoice.
Moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by Deputy Mayor Young. Call for the question. Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. All right, thank you, Councillor Freak. That concludes accounts payable, and we'll move on to Environment and Housing. Deputy Mayor Young, please.
Environment and Housing met on December 8th, 2021. In attendance was myself, Mark Lambswood, Keith Park, Councillor Fitzgerald, Maxine Hayden, Dave Thomas, and Jason Young. Items discussed, general repairs. Item number 1, 76 Whites Road. The replacement of a basement window and door was recommended for approval. Item 2, 4 Goose Arm Road, removing fill off a property in a residential site preparation. This was approved pending any requirements from the Department of Natural Resources. Item 3, 10 North Main Street, replacement signs for a business. This was recommended for approval. And item number 4, 5 Caitlin Place, the application for a fence replacement. This was deferred, seeking further information. Accessory buildings, item number 5, an application for a shed. This was recommended for approval. Commercial construction, item number 6, an application was put forth from 12 Piercy Drive for the construction of a storage garage, and this was also recommended for approval pending all provincial government requirements. Item number 7, we discuss the closure of the ATV-friendly route for the 2021 season. And it was decided that we would make a motion that we would close that, I guess, this evening at 11:59 p.m. Should I make that motion now, or do we come back to that?
You can bring that together, actually, in your report. Correct?
Okay.
Lori?
Lori? Do
This
I
is
just make that
separate.
motion now, or at the end of the report?
That can all in one.
Okay. So I move that as of December 20th, 2021 at 11:59 p.m., the ATV-friendly route will be closed for the remainder of the winter season.
Okay. So we have a mover by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Langdon. Call for a question. Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Young. That concludes Environment and Housing Report. We'll move on to Public Works. Councillor Fitzgerald, please.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
sorry.
a few more there, Mike. Or
Okay,
Mayor, sorry.
Sorry about that.
I'll be
All right,
quick.
Go ahead.
Item 8, actually, we discussed, again, another second ATV-related motion to put forth. It was about extending the current ATV-friendly route to include George Aaron Drive. So we discussed it and recommended to put forth a motion. So I move that the ATV-friendly route be extended to include George Aaron Drive, connecting the ATV route to our existing trail network.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Young, seconded by Councillor Freak. Call for the question. Councillor Langdon.
Yeah, gotcha. So, Deputy Mayor Young, the route would take you down George Aaron Drive, and where would we go after the route?
It extends, somebody might be able to describe the trail a little bit better than me.
The transmission line at the end of George Aaron Drive. It doesn't actually take you to the highway, but there is a trail system there at the end of George Aaron Drive where they can jump onto the transmission line. There's a large amount of ATV traffic along George Aaron Drive as we speak, and this is where they're traveling to get to communities of Reedville and Cormac. So they're running up the side of the highway as such into the ditch, but they are using the transmission line at the end of George Aaron as the route. So we are not directing them directly to the highway.
Gotcha, okay. I think I gotta disagree with that for I don't think that's the right decision to send them down to a potentially dead-end street for the most part. I don't know if the transmission line is appropriate to send them. Is it the transmission line going north or across the highway?
It goes north.
I think
Gotcha.
is it the road that goes, like, some people call, like, I don't know, the old provincial road or something, or that's the road?
It used to be, yeah.
It is, yeah.
And we can we use, like, obviously signs and make it very obvious, just like our current ATV route? You know what I mean? Like, it would be obvious, this is where you are going, kind of thing. I mean, people would be doing that anyway, no doubt.
Well, I think it's where most people are traveling
Yeah.
anyway.
But we would put up signage, obviously, to extend the route as well. I think that goes
Yeah, I
without
think
saying.
it's
Yeah,
a very well-used route as it is, and it creates a bit of a loop in around, so people were pretty interested in creating that.
Yeah.
I thought George Aaron Drive was always on our loop. I thought it was. I always wrote Goose Arm Road. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should do it, definitely.
No, we're not bringing them into the highway.
It-
But you could jump on, I mean, if you were to get to that intersection, you could then go to like Rocky Brook Road and continue on through like that trail system if it's dry enough in season, correct?
Just not, it wouldn't be just a part of our route, but yeah, I guess technically
But
something
yeah, I mean,
could.
they've just done big upgrades to the snowmobile trail, so you could get on that, and I mean, you could go right to Cormac, right from that route. Or it would, yes, take you to Reedville, or if your Reedville residents were coming down, they would be able to come down, head on George Aaron Drive and go on in Goose Arm that way.
Yeah, you can't access the trail on an ATV once you cross the road there on the snowmobile trail. It's not accessible.
It is now. They just built it.
Yeah, just right in that area, but once you come around the turn, like where the snowmobile trail is,
Oh, to go down through the
yeah,
highway. No,
there's like a bog hole there.
it's meant to go north.
It's impossible.
The biggest thing is to go north.
Yeah, I think with proper
It's redirected north
signage,
before 4:30, right?
I think with proper signage, you would be covering yourself off from, and our route would be very defined. Like, I guess, Brett, are you asking that, can the route, because we're going to define the route, are you saying it should only go as far as that road and not continue on
I'm
to the
saying the
highway?
route shouldn't exist on George Aaron Drive.
Okay. But how come not just to that, say that space with proper signage, and that's clearly our route, doesn't even extend to the end of George Aaron, or I'm just,
Because I don't think that route is defined enough there now, as it is, to proceed through that area.
and I haven't been through there lately, but I don't know, like, Darren, has anyone ATV'd through that old provincial?
I travel
Rough.
through it all the time.
Oh, okay. There's no issue?
I see no issue. I know local residents have gardens and everything in that area. But obviously, the road, it's an access road. I'm unsure if that's a private road or not, but I know the transmission easement that runs adjacent to it. And I have seen some ATV traffic along that area. Being a resident of George Aaron Drive in that area, I can tell you that there's at least 50 ATVs travel that road every day.
Yeah.
So
It's
So
happening.
are we gonna reroute those 50 people into a road that you said we don't know if we know that there's an
the easement's there. There is a.
Okay, so as long as, if you can, if you're confident that you can tell me that somebody can turn on that road and there's full access to a trail system, but I mean, if we don't know that there's an easement, like Brett's saying, you're just bringing them to a dead end, or are we just gonna take care of our George Aaron Drive residents that they could leave their properties on George Aaron and head towards the Goose Arm Trail or through Deer
But I
Lake
think our
Trail?
regulation states that we can do that anyway.
Yeah, you're
to go
allowed to do
to
that,
the
yeah.
main route.
Right, to and from.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
This is simply adding
This
the
is
opposite
non-resident.
direction. This is adding the
direction.
opposite
Right.
direction.
Yeah.
Because you can travel right from there anyway, right now, to the other direction, but this would add the ability to go backwards, really. That's what it allows, as opposed to,
Did the Snowmobile Federation show any interest in connecting the two at all? Like when you're saying that they're not?
They are right on any other new trail expansions. They're making it multi-purpose trails, but it's far from that right now. If you were to go right to the end of George Aaron Drive, and I don't even know if we're permitted to bring people to a highway to
TCH.
cross.
Okay.
Yeah, it was never intended, or
to go to the highway.
No.
Keith
Is this a separate motion, Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
The other piece I was going to ask, sorry, about this one was simply around the legality side in terms of, I know when we did the original, we had to gazette it and it came back and it was, do you have to do anything like that when you're making an amendment to an existing regulation? Okay, so that process will, okay.
Yeah, our EMO, he would make to the Gazette
Okay.
revision there during the spring, well, during the winter. So it'd be in effect when.
That makes
it
sense.
opened up.
That makes sense. Okay, perfect.
Okay, just for clarification, the MEO was in attendance for that meeting, and obviously it came from a recommendation from that committee. Debate is healthy, and we don't all have to agree in order to pass something or not to pass something, so I want to say thank you for that discussion. We'll put it to a vote. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Against? Motion carried. Okay, moving on to Public Works. Councillor Fitzgerald.
Sorry, there's
She
still
didn't
more.
finish her E and H.
No, there was two motions inside the,
Yeah.
We're on to another motion because I'm looking at a blank screen on my iPad, but thank you for that.
I just got a few more, sorry, Mayor. Item number 9, these are just FYIs, but item number 9, we discussed the water and sewer connection policy. Again, that's under the umbrella of Public Works, but we reviewed it. Item number 10, the landscaping policy, pretty much the same. Item number 11, just an update on where we were at with the rezoning process of 2A Goose Arm Road. And at that time, this was December 8th, so a little while ago, but at that time, the public process had just closed the Monday before. Item number 12, there was a request for a caution sign at 5 Goodyear's Lane. This was deferred, seeking further clarification and information. And finally, item 13, we just discussed again the climate change coordinator, some updates on some of the things that she's been doing as her, I guess, time here with us kind of comes to an end. So some of her goals, some of her accomplishments, we just reviewed some of those things. So that's it. So I move that we accept the E&H report of December 8th, 2021.
Okay, moved by the Deputy Mayor Young, seconded by Councillor Jones. Call for the question.
I just have a question on number 12. Just wondering, the deferral, I seen there was a letter there. Just wondering the deferral. Is it just to get clarification on the sign itself, like the type, or?
Yeah, and kind of what the letter was put forth by a third party. So some clarification on terms of what actually was wanted by the homeowner and the
Gotcha.
parent.
Okay.
Some clarification around that.
Gotcha, okay.
I actually sent this to Maxine from the resident. Maxine, did you provide that to that committee? So, in the past, we've provided, whether there was a special need required on the street, that street sign. So I know we've done it in other areas, just to notify people driving in the area. So they were looking to have that put on their street because of the special needs for this child. Is that not, we've always done that in the past, if we've had a letter from the health
Yeah.
authority.
It sounds like in this case, maybe, Deputy, that you guys, because all I can see is that letter from the third party. You never had the aspect from the homeowner.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
this was the letter confirming I guess the diagnosis was there.
But no other details.
But no
other
details surrounding what was being looked for, where they want it located. There was no kind of details. There was no formal request even.
Yeah. So this is a deferral, so you guys are just gonna seek more information, bring it back,
Absolutely.
and it'll likely occur.
I was gonna say, and Maxine has the information. They've reached out a couple of times, actually, with this on their street. It's a dead end. People go in there a lot of times really fast, not knowing that there's a special need child, so they wanted to just bring awareness for the drivers in the area. I got an email I can follow up with everybody as well.
Sure.
Okay, any more questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, motion carried. Now, Councillor Fitzgerald, I think I'm correct in saying we'll move on to Public Works.
I appreciate the eagerness to get it to Public Works. All right, the Public Works Committee met on December 10th. In front of you have our committee breakdown. So number one was Jador's Lane intersection trimming. So this is more as an FYI. The trees at the intersection of Jador's and Nicholsville Road will be trimmed by our Public Works Division to increase the sight triangle at that intersection. There was concerns regarding utility poles and everything in that area, but they have been there, and that's part of their easement. I believe the tree trimming will increase that sight triangle easily. Number two, Riverbank Road. Public Works was well aware of the issues regarding the lane closure along Riverbank Road. Unfortunately, we're just going to have to live with it for a while until we know the best approach for the repair. In the meantime, the town is moving forward with an RFP for the geotechnical work to determine the best approach in this area. Just as an FYI for those concerned citizens about the lane width, the lane is wide enough for the snow plows and larger vehicles, and if there is a need to close the road, our Public Works Division can have the access from Riverbank to Amanda open in a few hours. So we're safe in that area. Item number three is to continue with our discussion from our last meeting regarding the pressure at at the Nichols Landing. And so we're just looking at other approaches to try and increase the pressure in that area. So it's more or less an FYI. So number four, snow clearing priorities. Just for our residents, more or less another FYI. I know there's been concerns in the community. We currently, our snow operations are as follows. We plow our bus routes first and as our utmost importance. Secondly, we plow all our collector roads, and then we move into our local roads. Sidewalk clearing begins as soon as the snow clearing efforts are considered minimal to maintain snow removal from our bus routes and collectors. And our biggest reason for this is because our sidewalks they run adjacent to our driving lanes, and we'll be placing snow right back onto our sidewalks after we clear them. So our snow clearing consists of 2 flyers and 1 loader operating at one time, and operators will switch into the snow clearing equipment once the roads are considered maintained. And we hope to have 2 trackless snow sidewalk machines operating very shortly. I don't know if we may have now. Do we, Dave? Okay. We're just waiting on our second trackless to come. Number 5, list of equipment availability. We're currently working with our Public Works Department to develop a live list of available equipment, so council and town officials will know exactly what equipment is available and ready to go, or unavailable, either or. Number 6, can I push number 6 to the end, Mayor? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Number 7, land development regulations. We're going to defer this again for further reference. We had a little in-camera this evening to get a council's feel, so we think we have an idea, and we'll move with both our Public Works and E&H to develop a stronger regulation for land development. And to go back to number 6, we've already discussed number 8. That was a sidewalks clearing plan. And number 6 is the The sewer and water connection policy, so I'd like to put forward, I'd like to make a motion to accept the new sewer and water connection policy. I do believe it is on our agenda here. So yeah, Public Works is,
We'll do Public Works first and we'll do the policy after.
okay, so,
Yeah,
all right.
so we'll finish the Public Works.
Well-
We'll do a motion to accept that, then we'll do a policy.
Okay, so besides number 6, I move to accept the Public Works report
Okay,
of December 10th.
thank you, Councillor Fitzgerald. We have a motion moved by Councillor Fitzgerald, seconded by Councillor Langdon. Call for a question. Hearing none, all those in favour? Motion carried. Item number 6, Councillor Fitzgerald.
To the next one.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I wanna, the past.
I will have a question about the policy itself, but
Yeah.
we're doing a separate motion.
Oh, yeah,
We're doing
Separate motion, yeah.
Okay, so, moving forward with the sewer and water connection policy. Public Works has revisited the policy from our last council meeting, and I think we're very close to where we are, so, I recommend the approval of the sewer and water connection policy.
Moved by
make a motion.
Councillor Fitzgerald, seconded by Councillor Jones. Call for a question.
Who's first?
You go.
I was, mine is very simple, I think. It's just the language piece, and it's perhaps my own misunderstanding, but when it talks about, in a few places, it talks about sewer backup valve and/or pressure reducing valve, to suggest that as long as you have one or the other, but I thought that we were moving in the direction to have both of those.
We are, so it all depends on what type so sewer backup valve is obviously for your sewer connection, and your PRV is
Yeah.
for your water connection. So based on whatever you're applying for, you either have to have either
Okay.
or. So that's why it's in that.
Gotcha. Okay, let me just read this for a second.
So,
Okay.
in the past, again, not to say that it's always the best practice, but we've always kind of worked within our climate change issues. So if we've had a warmer, fall, and there were things that were able to get done, we didn't have ourselves kind of pegged in that the date was in there. We kind of worked within the weather to
You're-
continue
You're talking about the
the
1st
date.
and 31st?
Yeah.
Those dates?
Like, I know, Dave, we got past practice and things, but, if it was an early spring, like, there's no start date in this either.
Well, our biggest thing about our start date is we know that the asphalt plants will be opening around May 24. There's typically every year. That's when contractors will start opening up their asphalt facilities.
And then they'll stop, typically, the last of October.
Yes.
So depending on the weather, everybody typically is working within
but
timelines
at
of
the
May to
same-
October.
But at the same time, you're not going to get priority paving from any of these asphalt contractors at this time of year.
Right.
They're trying to complete their major projects, and we risk having the road open that entire season based on that. The Department of Transportation Infrastructure, their closing date is September 30th, but as we well know, we do get information from the minister saying there's an extension to the paving season.
So
That's
will
all
our-
based on weather.
Will our residents have the opportunity to have a discretion the same way that the provincial government? Because if we have another November like we just had, we could continue on with development for another 30 days, if that happens.
But I guess that's the risk that council's is going to wish to absorb. It is, like I said, I put caution in the wind when it comes to anything with asphalt in that time of year, as these contractors are prioritizing their own work and the availability of liquid asphalt at the same time. So it all depends how much they're going to store, how much they want to keep as their own fail-safe. So there is a risk. I understand Public Works request to have these dates in there because it takes the pressures off everyone else, and the risk is minimal when we put in these dates.
So will our residents have the opportunity to apply for an extension if we have like plus 15 weather in the month of November and the asphalt plants are open?
I wouldn't, I would go against that kind of risk. I wouldn't want to absorb that risk, is guess what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like you said, you may be talking 1 or 2 days, and these 1 or 2 days, they could be moving into somewhere else. Are you willing to risk putting asphalt on frosted land, and all of a sudden, then we're living with a frost heave or in a depression when it comes to spring, when everything settles? I would be quite content to keep this as is the policy date. But obviously, it's for everyone else to make their decision on, so. Public Works would have no issues deferring this again. We want to get this right. We want everyone on council to feel content with what they have in front of them, so.
Sorry, and I know we're talking about the other one, but I've reread this, and although I get what you're saying now by and/or, I mean, I still feel like there could be some worry there from a language standpoint, just because if the request was for sewer, then technically this still allows you to have your pressure reducing valve on, and you know what I mean?
Well, that's your
there's
sewer.
There's a degree of language
Well, you can change the language.
potential,
if need be.
and that's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Yep.
It's just
So,
at this point we can still do it.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't
So-
think we should pass it though until the language is correct.
No, I'm not saying pass it. I just it's standing out to me, and I think there's something. I won't be able to correct it for you right here, but and no doubt you would see it and be able to correct it perhaps better than I could anyway. But I'm just saying,
Yeah,
there's still
well-
something there when I read it
Okay.
for some interpretation.
I like the clarity and the concreteness of having a date. Would there be a date that you would be okay with, Amanda? Is there a date that would allow you to pass that?
In the construction season, I mean, Dave, you can speak to this. I mean, you know that it's rare that we're doing the water and sewer in that time of the year. So I don't know if there's, special circumstances, but once we peg it in and it's black and white, again, I'm still not okay with what's happened in the past, just a short pass to go, and then we had a policy, but it was past practice, not really policy. So, but you know where I'm going. It's not a lot.
We need to have a defined date,
Right.
especially when it comes to cutting asphalt.
Right.
If we don't do that, as Darren or Counselor had said, we can run into trouble with
Right.
frost heave, with settling, and then we'd be paying twice to have this section cleaned.
Right, but we know just this November past, we didn't have frost issues until late in the year. So again, if we're looking at an earlier date,
But the thing is, also,
we've just been, I know, it's hard.
Counselor Fitzgerald had said, we don't have control over the asphalt companies.
Right. But neither does the provincial government, and they'll apply for an extension, or, but that's what I'm saying. Do we have any flexibility? We don't. It's,
The amount of asphalt that we're purchasing is minimal compared to what these contractors are laying.
right,
Typically, when they do this work is when they're paving driveways.
right.
Are you saying the province is different because if they got the TCH tore up, I mean, obviously,
Well, they're paying a premium. Yeah.
major potential safety issues. And
So if we knew asphalt was on the go, it was in the area, somebody wrote, there's no frost, is there an opportunity for that? And my answer sounds like
I think what you're saying is, if there was a C here that allowed for some discretion, I guess, around the
But that would be the
extension.
risk on the town adopting anything later in those dates.
But who's determined that, it's appropriate to pave again? Like, there's so many variables in that in terms of temperature range, and, it could be frost at night and 25 degrees in the day. Are we willing to run that risk? I don't think we should. And even from the time, if we do say, if we look, we know how the weather changes in Newfoundland. If we look and we do issue the permit, and then go from there, next thing there's frost, and like Dave alluded to, we're just repaving it again. So for the sake of 30 days, is that the longest extension we've seen? Is it worth it? I don't think so personally, but
The other piece is if our policy was extremely clear and you knew you only had until October 1st, and you were doing a construction project, you could perhaps plan around that date, as opposed to starting a project after October 1st, which I know it happens. People
No, I mean, you've
people
seen
do
it. I know-
it.
I
People
know
do
I
it, but
Yes.
but then I guess if you start a project, depending on the size, in late October, oftentimes you'll be the spring anyway before you be done that project potentially. I don't know. It's I get what Amanda's saying too. I don't know.
I know contractors who've started properties just this October. I mean, it happens, and I mean, we're not, downtown Toronto. We're only gonna get one or two, but if we had the discretion that we can be like, look, the asphalt's still the plants are still open, we've got the opportunity, we can at least say, yes, we can do this. This was the date. However, because of the time, because of the weather, because of the, plants, we could do that.
Are we able to connect ourselves to the province's dates? Do whatever they do?
But that's September 30th. But if you're going to
With the
extend,
average-
No, but-
you're accepting risk is what, to take those exceptions, those extensions, you're adopting risk.
What is the danger of just adding council discretion to this,
Like a C.
to this date?
Well, it's just to the point that you may not get asphalt.
What
That's the hard part.
What will happen this year, okay, we do it for Councilor Freed, we extend it because the weather's good. Next year, Councilor Hancock says, oh, you've done it for her, I want you to do it for me now.
Well, we can respond with, look, there's no plants open, there's nothing to get.
That's why we responded with a cutoff date.
Yeah.
I think,
It's a date.
yeah, I mean, I guess my only piece is when trying to develop a policy, we can only look at the information that we've had, the weather that we traditionally have. I mean, I agree with you, the weather's changing, but we can't make policy predicting what the weather's gonna be, because we don't know. So we can only use what we know that's to be the case, of most years. I don't know if we can look at it and look at revisiting it. I mean, I'm sure it's open and fluid, but that would be the only piece I would add. Be hard to make any policy, environmental policy, if we had to make discretionary additions because of what the weather could be based on climate change.
Yeah, I think the only way you'd be able to do it really is, in my opinion, would be connecting it. Oh, sorry, yes, sir. Yeah, I think the only way you'd be able to do it really would be if you connected it somehow to if we were going to do that, connecting it to a provincial extension, because if they're applying for one, then the likelihood, I guess, that there's asphalt still available, et cetera. So other than that, I don't know how you'd be able to use discretion outside of connecting it to some kind of extension that they would be doing, but otherwise, I think you're right that if you can't do that, then there's going to have to be some established cutoff period. That's all I can think about for that, really.
I guess a couple more things I'll throw in the loop too. Also, that, like it says here, responsibilities of additional costs. Like, why should a resident be charged for additional costs if it's supposed to be alongside the road and they gotta go down to 500-600 feet? It's not his fault the way the town infrastructure is planned. And also another one there saying, agreed price should be made between the applicant and town superintendent. So you don't agree on the price, that means you don't get it. So you almost got them over a barrel. So a couple of, I guess, issues that I see with that I'm not really comfortable to pass this water and sewer connection. That's only my personal opinion tonight.
This one, like any policy, we tend to get them through on the 5th or 6th, but I think that might be right. That might be the way to do it. You get it through when it's ready to go through,
I think we got a lot of policies that need just the time and energy put into, reviewing them, pounding out the pros and the cons, and
But I will say the spirit of this water and connection policy certainly is. I like a lot of things about it. I do like arriving at some kind of price because I know that we've done this in the past, and I think that it's. We've already agreed as a council that we're going to move ahead in that direction unless this council makes some kind of change to that. And then I like the idea of the pressure reducing valve. I like a lot about the policy. I guess it's just a few little pieces to iron out.
Okay, in respect to policies in general, I just want to say thanks to all committees. This new sitting council has highlighted a lot of policy work, which I've probably never seen in the sitting of the two councils that I've been on previously. Obviously, they're quite a bit of work, and there's some new eyes around the table. So this is all good discussion, because ultimately it's about protecting, obviously, the community residents and everyone in this decision-making process. So I guess from what I'm hearing, Councillor Fitzgerald, and I hope no disregard to your committee or the work, I think it would be probably in the best interest to defer this with this late in the season. Obviously, there's no one going to be putting shovels in the ground, but if that's your wish, then so be it. But if not, we do have a mover and a seconder, so I'll leave that with you.
Well, no, but I guess based on what I'm hearing around here, it's best to defer and to take another swing at the policy, so.
Okay, again, I appreciate your efforts and your committee for the work put into it. So we'll make a note of that, Lori, that this one will be deferred. All right, thank you. That will correct me if I'm wrong, but this will conclude your report, Councillor Fitzgerald.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Moving on to the Recreation Committee report, Councillor Langdon, please.
The Department of Arts, Recreation, and Culture met Thursday, December 9th, 2021 at 3:30 p.m. In attendance was Councillor Langdon, Councillor Hancock, Deputy Mayor Young, Director of Recreation Community Services Glenn Wiseman, and Director of Operations and Communications Jason Young. Item number 1 was a swimming pool rate increase. Recreation recommends adding a QIT program to our online registration system for the Hodder. In the past, during registration of swimming lessons, the system has crashed due to the high volume of customers logged in on multiple devices at once. This program puts customers in a queue and advises them the length of time they expect to be in the queue before they can register. The cost to implement this QIT system into our online registration will be approximately $4,000 per year. Recreation recommends increasing the cost of swimming lessons $7 per registered member to cover the cost of this new system. Item number 2 was Christmas wreaths, in particular the Beautification Center and on Main Street. Recreation checked with local provider Robbins Enterprise to see if they would what they would charge to create Christmas wreaths. The Christmas wreaths are quite labor intensive. They suggest that we go with a 30-inch Christmas wreath at $35 each. Last year we purchased approximately 23 of them. The total cost would be $805 plus tax. Speakers. Recreation has looked into the price to have a sound system installed on the exterior of the Hodder complex. This will not be available for the holiday season. Recreation will advise council on pricing and potential options on a later date. Coca-Cola advertisement contract. Recreation has requested a option for contract renewal from Coca-Cola to be discussed by the Recreation Committee when received. This contract renewal will be dependent on volume of sales over the next 4 years. A TikTok account. Recreation has created multiple social media accounts in the past and will now be adding a TikTok one to use to expand recreation within the community and promote this. Promotion of the Recreation Center. Recreation would like to promote different skates, swims, and bowling times at the Recreation Center by doing a 12-month giveaway event. Local businesses will be contacted to sponsor a skate, swim, or bowling time, and at the end of 1 month period, the business will supply us with a prize that we can give to people in attendance at those events. The Recreation Committee recommends approval for this. The Christmas calendar of events. Recreation has created a Christmas calendar of events for everyone to enjoy throughout the holiday season. It is posted on our various social media pages, including the Facebook page and the town website, and actually they are currently probably done now, participated in a ATV mummer ride this evening. Spotlighting achievements by community members. Recreation will be creating a spotlighting for individuals on the Recreation Facebook page and other social media platforms as well, once a month, showcasing their achievements in either athletics, academics, excellence, or volunteerism. And the meeting was adjourned at 5 p.m. I make a motion to accept these minutes.
Moved by Councillor Langdon, seconded by Deputy Mayor Young. Call for the question.
Number 2, that's just $7 per person, like per swimming lesson, not each lesson, but the full
So it'll be
time span.
for the full block, sorry, yeah. So I believe the cost right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Glenn, is approximately $50 per child?
Okay.
Yeah, so it would see an increase of $7, and how long does one block of swimming lessons normally take?
8 weeks.
8 weeks, so $7 over 8 weeks.
Yeah, perfect. Number 3 there, what's the recommendation? It says there for council's information. There's no recommendation, it's just a future thing?
Yeah, so that will be, well, sorry, yeah, that is for council recommendation here now as well.
Yeah, I don't think there was an arrival at, like, I think
was-
maybe somebody was supposed to see if there was an option, but I'm not sure if that.
Yeah, the options didn't really come through what we were looking for as well, and also keep in mind this was supposed to be for last Monday's council meeting as well. So I'm not sure
That's
if we
true, yeah.
if we want to go ahead with those now as well, given the timeline of it, or
That's right.
Okay.
What's council's, what's council's wish for that one? so
I
we
don't
can
mind it. I
conclude
mean, if it were available tomorrow, or you know what I mean. Like, there's still a holiday season that takes place right till beyond, but it is getting pretty late. It's
yeah,
nice.
well, we
to-
can certainly look into the timeline and the finalized pricing on that as well.
So can we leave that with the
yeah,
Director
wreaths-
of Recreation?
The wreaths that we had the last time, they almost needed to be, almost like even double-sided, or like, it needed to be something, and they were flying all over the place, so then we were like, you know, was there a way to connect them on the top and the bottom, like it
Yeah,
was.
so I don't know if I probably appropriately explained that either. My apologies, but yeah, that was the issue before. They were flying off in the wind and whatnot. So we were looking at alternative options such as a Christmas bells, or like almost like a reef ball, more so, to see if we could maybe help out with the with what happened last year.
And I don't think there's a point where we can't spread enough Christmas cheer, obviously, for the last couple of years we went through, but just a note, there's extra lighting over next to Nicholsville Bridge, there's extra lighting on Commerce Street, and there's extra lighting with Councillor Langdon's Christmas tree in front of the town hall that people should really come by and take a look at, 'cause it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful
I-
big tree. I love it.
Excellent fit, and sorry, I forgot to thank him on Facebook post as well, Keith Park, for helping us cut that tree. It was a perfect cut.
We could possibly maybe add greenery, like evergreen, like wreaths or the hanging balls to maybe the lamp post on Commerce Street. You know, if we didn't want to get 30 of them, but if we were to add the evergreen down there, or add the back-to-back wreaths.
Yeah,
Something
I think
wrong?
that would be a good, like, given the time of year, that would be a good sort of, I guess, for this year, and we could see what they're like. Because last year, I know one of the challenges was they were quite, they seemed like they were going to be big. Like, if I was holding it, it seemed nice. But when you throw it up on a power pole and you're looking at it from, 200 feet away, it becomes like a donut, right? So
Yeah, I think that was like similar to the banners that are around town and stuff. So
yeah. So it's learning, and I think maybe if there is a possibility, that would be a good idea, what Amanda suggested
Yeah.
for
Well,
this
we
year.
had the
for sure.
pots down there, so I mean, Glenn, the posts are on there to hang something from the top, the bottom, like you'd be able to anchor it half sensible on those lamp posts.
And we could get a look at them for this year and plan and.
And you're looking at half the cost, Councillor Jones.
That's fair.
And yeah,
That's Councillor Jones'
that's
spirit.
the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, we should have some wreaths on it, definitely.
No, and the contrary to what Councillor Jones thinks here, but I think we can also look at lighting options and stuff for next year. Obviously, it would be more costly, but it would last much longer as well, and it would be a recurring
Yeah.
cost. So
Yeah.
we could look at that in the future.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I just want to duly note that Councillor Jones said it on record. So for the Recreation Director heard that he wants wreaths on Commerce Street. So thank you for
I
that.
asked for that 2 weeks ago. I didn't know where it was out there.
Thanks. So, all right, we have a mover, seconder, questions on the floor. Any more questions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. All right, we'll move on to this year, 2022's budget for next year. And before we do, I just wanted to thank everyone and, staff, all management and staff, all committee members for your input, and obviously the Finance Committee Chair and all members. You sit down and you crunch and you push back and forth on numbers to make things work, that residents can still avail of services and not I guess our goal is always not to have increases, but I look forward to your budget presentation. Councillor Jones, please.
Okay, our budget, Deer Lake budget for 2022. Mayor Guzzi, fellow councillors, members of the public, as chairperson of the Finance Committee for the town of Deer Lake, it gives me great pleasure to present the budget for 2022 taxation year. For all of their input into the budgetary process, I would like to thank members of the Finance Committee, my fellow town councillors, members of our management team, and all staff members. Everyone involved has played an important role to developing this plan for 2022, and today we are pleased to present a balanced budget of $8,045,485.20. For our taxation 2022 year, the town's debt service ratio is well below the acceptable threshold set forth by the Department of Environment, Climate Change, and Municipalities. This leaves the town with significant flexibility, enhanced borrowing power, access to emergency funds if needed, and the ability to apply for capital works. I'd like to note this budget does not contain an increase in property or business mill rates for 2022. The town of Deer Lake will continue with the municipal property tax exemption thresholds from previous years. To qualify, property owners must have a total annual income of $18,500 or less reported on their previous year's 2021 tax return. The deadline for these applications are August 1st, 2022. Some of the highlights for the 22 budget. In preparing the 22 budget, council had made to make some tough decisions, but was able to make progress on some of the initiatives that are very important for current and future development of our community. Major initiatives for 2022 include the following: capital improvements, including, but not limited to, a new water filter to replace primary filters in the filtration system. Continued construction of the annex for the Hatter and Memorial Recreation Complex. Spring 2022 will see the construction of the steel structure and a majority of exterior construction. Continuation of the sidewalk initiative, allowing important pedestrian corridors throughout the community. We will also continue development, expansion of the multi-seasonal, multi-user Deer Lake Trail system with government partners, including the Alapu First Nation. The town of Deer Lake will continue to build upon our tourism product through our relationships with stakeholders at all government levels. We will continue development of the safe boat launch on Safe Solid Deer Lake to complement the current launch on the riverbank. The town will purchase a new tractor sidewalk machine for winter sidewalk clearing. We will purchase a new Florida to add to the public works snow clearing fleet. We also have investments for the Deer Lake Fire Rescue for protective equipment requirements. Funding will be allocated for recreational spaces such as accessible playgrounds, structures, beach maintenance, and improved accessibility to the Deer Lake Beach via Joe Butts Lookout. We will also have further expansion of the designated ATV route is also planned for 22. This council has committed to continue to provide safe and enjoyable outdoor spaces for individuals of all ages. The Commerce Street Beautification Project improved the look of the area of town and provides citizens and visitors to our community a beautiful green space that is in the entrance to our community. In 2022, we will work with the residents to identify and improve other public green spaces in our community. The town of Deer Lake will continue their investments into the development of the Veterans Memorial Industrial Park and the Trans-Canada Highway to provide services to the businesses and industrial sector. These investments will include signage for this area. With the Deer Lake Live saw success during its first year of 2019, COVID-19 has impacted the ability to have community gatherings in 20 and 21 for Deer Lake Live, but plans are in place to continue this popular series that celebrates the community of Deer Lake. In 2022, we will be a province-wide Come Home year. The town of Deer Lake is working with provincial government to provide programming and events to coincide with Come Home year events that will take place in Deer Lake. The town continues to financially support the following groups on an annual basis: the Treehouse Resource Center, the Cemetery Committee, the Deer Lake Memorial Scholarship, the Roy Whalen Museum, and the Deer Lake Regional Library. Mayor, this concludes my presentation of the Town of Deer Lake's budget for 2022. I would now like to make a motion for its adoption, this budget as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Jones, Chair of Finance. Greatly appreciate it. So we have a mover, seconded by Councillor Freak. Call for the question. Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you, and thank you again, everyone, for your valuable time, input, and dedication to seeing this budget through. I guess we'll conclude this meeting.
I would,
No, we gotta do the
I must
tax
pass my
rates.
tax rates.
Sorry.
The next letter G and letter H.
I'm going to get a full printout in the next meeting so I don't lose digital. Okay. All right, go ahead, Councillor.
Okay,
Jones.
under G, I'd like to move to accept the 2022 tax rates.
Moved
for the Town
by
of Deer Lake.
Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. Call for the question. Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried.
And also under letter H, the municipal property tax exemption application for 2022. I'd like to move we accept this exemption application.
Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Langdon. Call for the question. Councillor Fitzgerald, Freak.
I just want to make note to the tax exemption for the residents of Deer Lake who are listening tonight that we've spent, Krista Jones has spent many hours reviewing this, how we can do this better. So I think from a finance committee, we are committed to reviewing this income, especially with CERB incomes that might have, boosted incomes slightly. So this is something that we've certainly taken a really close look at, but we weren't ready to pass it as a new council for the budget 2022, but we will have that on the radar for 2023.
Okay, that's a good point. I'll reiterate that actually. Thank you for that, Councillor Freak. The reality of it is, sitting in a new council, you come through an election and then first thing you face is a budget. And then we've had some restrictions, I guess, kind of ease back with some advisories from public health or whatnot, but we're here again tonight, and there will be a lot more, I guess, effort or work going into the budget, or to lessen the work. We'll start earlier next year, so I look forward to that as well. So thank you for that. Any more questions?
Just one comment. I did thank everybody in my speech, but, I'd like to, I guess, personally thank everybody again for a lot of time, a lot of work into it. And Councillor Freakling and Councillor Fitzgerald, thanks again for the extra help. It's not an easy job to do balance the budget, and we got to keep our services going and help people with low incomes, and we will continue to do that in the future. So again, I'd like to thank everybody who participated.
Thank you for that. Great points, Councillor Jones. All right, any more questions or comments? Councillor Lang?
Just alluded to what Councillor Jones just said. Thank you to all the staff here for the many hours of work, and as well the finance committee for the lot of work. As a new councillor, you come in with a lot of dreams and hopes and realize there's monetary restraints to everything, but I feel like we've done a great job at delivering a budget here now that continues to put the residents of Deer Lake first and foremost, and so just kudos to each and every one of you guys for doing that, and it's a team we're proud to be part of.
Appreciate that.
One thing we could touch on is, Maxine, I'd like to thank you, and I apologize again for the past weeks, what we put you through, and changing a few things and coming back to the table. I know the rest of the councillors are there to deal with, but I'll help you whatever way I can.
All right, duly noted. Any more comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. All right, before we call for an adjournment, I just want to put out a notice for tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at the Recreation Complex. We will be doing an official tree lighting. Use safe distances, obviously. We're at that point now, I guess, at the end of this challenge. Everyone uses their own judgment, and it'll be something to look forward to. So again, at 6 p.m. tomorrow night, at the Pride of the Town, you'll see it from the Hodder Memorial parking lot, and all are welcome. And I guess in closing, I'd like, on behalf of council, I'd like to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Councillor Freak?
Sorry, just, we made a presentation today, the Santa Stroll Committee, to the Salvation Army, and I just wanted to let everybody know, or let the community know. To date, we raised $22,150, which is like all-time high. I spent the afternoon with the ladies at the toy drive and the hampers, and Dolores' biggest message from the church, it doesn't matter what, you know, you don't have to be associated with anybody, but it's not too late to take advantage of that. If you are, you know, working and you've been off due to COVID, you haven't had a paycheck in the last couple of weeks, like, our business community and residents have certainly come to the table with big giving hearts, and we're here to help. So if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to Dolores at the Salvation Army Church for this holiday season.
Awesome.
Yep.
Actually, I'm really glad you brought that up. I'd like to thank all included in this fundraiser. It's been phenomenal. That being said, I'd also like to take a moment just to thank our staff, I guess the staff at Western Health, for working diligently through this latest challenge. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are exhausted. This has been ongoing for quite some time, but to hear these positive outcomes, stories of, you know, community giving back in such a time of need is really touches you in the heart. It's very heartwarming. So if you join me all, and we can actually do this physically, we can give them a round of applause. So with that all being said, again, you know, look out to each other. I hope everyone gets some downtime over Christmas and gets to enjoy their time with their loved ones. And I hope for a much better new year. So we've obviously learned lots from this one. So I'll call to adjourn the meeting. I need a mover. Moved by Councillor Freak. Meeting is adjourned at 8:33. Thank you.